Hello everyone, this is Anya at DecoToes. Welcome back. Today I have a video for you guys that I think I am most excited about of all of my videos that I've done so far. And it's a video about something people wonder about a lot. I get a lot of questions about this. So I finally got an opportunity to show you guys how this is done without using any arms. Um, but before I actually show you and tell you what it is, I want to start off by telling you a little bit about my journey. So, first of all, we're going to be talking about driving a car. And it was not an easy road to take, let me say. First of all, um, when I was in high school, I took driver's ed and I did the class, but they wouldn't let me do the behind the wheel because I had to go through a special rehab hospital. And also, they weren't very willing to let me do the driving. They were also very discouraging, actually, saying that my insurance is going to cost me so much and all of that. It took a lot of determination for me to actually be able to drive. So I finally ended up at a rehab hospital where I have shown them how I drive a regular car. Um, Mind you, I was 18 years old at the time, and I've never driven a car before, so I wasn't very comfortable with doing it. And so what happened was I got a letter back listing, or it actually, I don't even think it listed everything, but saying that to modify a car for me to be able to drive would cost $50,000. And I was like, oh my goodness, a car doesn't even cost that much. So, anyways, originally, and let me just say that probably all of those modifications would they make it easier for me to drive? Yeah, maybe. One of the things that they suggested was to actually put the steering wheel on the floor by the pedals. That way, I wouldn't have to be putting my leg up on the steering wheel. I would just be able to drive it this way. So there was a lot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the steering wheel on the floor alone was about $20,000. So basically, what happened is I asked them to come in again. And now that I'm remembering this, I think the first time they saw me drive a regular car was after that initial evaluation. That's what happened. And so I went in the second time and they asked me to drive a regular car. And based on that, the modifications came down to only 3,000. So the way my car is, or should I say was modified, was I had a tripod that I would hold on to on the steering wheel. And that came in handy and useful when I was parking, for example, and I had to really turn the steering wheel a lot. The other thing was because I use my left foot instead of the right one on the pedals, and I'm short. So what they did was they put sort of like an empty brick on the gas pedal to bring it closer to me so I could reach it easily. And the last and the biggest thing that my car had was a button that was inside the headrest. So what happened was I would push the button and it would tell me a list of options. So it was left turn, right turn, washer, wiper, washer, dimmer, horn, something like that. Wow, it's been a while since I drove that car, so I'm starting to forget. I used to have those like down. I would just remember because I would use them so much. So then I would have to press it with my head the second time to actually choose what I wanted the car to do. And that the reason for that is because, say, I only have one foot on the steering wheel, so for all the things that I would need to turn on or off while driving, I wouldn't have to let go of the steering wheel, all of that good stuff. And I drove that car for over 10 years, actually, with all the modifications. And then I saw a video of Jessica Cox, and she drove a car without any modifications. And I'm like, wait a minute, if she can do it, then why can't I? And as my car was getting older, I was a little bit concerned about one, the fact that the modifications would cost to get the new car modified. Also, if I were to get a new car, I would not be able to test drive it because I wasn't able to drive a normal car. The other thing is, anytime a car would be at a shop and say they give you a rental, I wouldn't be able to drive that either. So I called the rehab hospital that I originally went to for the driving, and I made an appointment to get reevaluated. And when I came in, funniest thing ever, it was the very same lady that did my initial evaluation, which was pretty cool. She was surprised to see me. I was very happy to see her again. And, now over 10 years later, I'm a lot more confident. I'm older. So I told her I want to be able to drive without the car modifications. So we went on a drive. It was quite long, from what I remember, and it was the most horrible weather I could have asked for. It was pouring rain. I mean, it was so bad. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But on the other hand, if I pass it in this weather, then it must really mean that I passed, right? So, so of course she approved it, which I was so relieved. But then came the second step. So I had to actually go back to um, get past another road test. So that was nerve wracking. But it was fine. It was fine. I took my other car, or my mom's car at that point. No, wait a minute. No, I didn't. I still took the old one because I didn't have my changed driver's license yet. So I had to drive to the driving place with the car modifications. So that's what happened. I drove there. I passed the test. And what happens is, when you have car modifications or any restrictions, the restrictions are actually listed on the back of your driver's license. Or was it on the front? But it's like letters indicating what the restrictions are. So I got those taken off. And so ever since then, which was about a year and a half ago, I have been driving without any car modifications. The only thing I do is because, well, first of all, I'm short, but also my torso is not very proportional to my legs, actually. So, and that's because, I'm guessing that's because of my spine surgeries that I had when I was younger. And so when they put the screws and the skinny rods, they kind of connected all my my spine so that it kind of stopped the growth. But so when I sit, I'm a lot shorter than when I stand, if that makes sense. Like if I sit down, I'm literally the height of a kid. So I do sit on two pillows to drive so that I can see everything well. So here's where the most exciting part came. Me and my son and Expo, of course, we took a trip to Florida last week. Actually, we stayed there with some dear friends for a week and a half. So the last two videos that you've seen, they were pre-recorded and pre-scheduled so that you wouldn't miss a video while I was gone. And I was super, super excited because I'm like, oh, I'm on vacation. Here's my chance. Let me rent a car and see how that experience goes. And I've never driven a different car. Like, both of our cars are the same make and model, just a different year. But I've never experienced driving a totally different car. And I was super nervous because originally what I thought was going to happen is I was going to go into the car rental place and I was going to look at all the different cars and maybe try a few out to see which one would be more comfortable than the other one. So good thing I called ahead, because guess what? it was winter break, and a lot of people come to Florida over winter break, and all the cars were rented out. There was no cars available. I could not believe it. And that was like within a 2 hour driving distance. There was no cars. So we found one that I could have rented for a minimum of a week, but it was really old and really nasty looking. So I ended up, I almost gave up. At that point, I was like, okay, I guess it's not gonna happen. You know, our friends are just gonna have to drive us everywhere. And they're so willing and so loving. So I knew they didn't mind, but I enjoy my independence. I value my independence. I like doing things on my own. So I called one more place, and sure enough, they had one single car left, of course, with a minimum of a week rental. But I was desperate at this point. I really wanted to have this experience in my life and be able to say that I was able to rent a car. I mean, that was something I could never do before. So to me, that was big, it was huge. So at this point, I was just hoping and praying that I was going to be able to drive the car, that it was going to be comfortable for me to drive it, because all cars are different. And so, actually, what I plan on doing in the future, I will, when you see the video of me driving, I will point out different things of what was easy, what was not, what I liked, what I didn't like. Uh, but I do plan on making another video of me driving my car, the one I'm used to, and just seeing what the differences are. I have learned from this experience that when I have to buy a new car in the future, there's a list of things that I am going to be looking for in the car, because like I said, there's some things I like, some things I don't. So it was an incredible learning experience. And oh my goodness, I can't even believe that I had this opportunity. I mean, it was amazing. Oh, and before I get you to the video of me driving, let me just say it was the funniest thing ever, because that's what I wondered about. Like, when I get there, are they gonna be like, no, we're not gonna rent the car to you? Or are they gonna be like, okay? So what happened was, I was there with our friends, and so the lady came out and she was like, "Oh, so who's renting the car?" And I said, "I am." And she goes, "And who's gonna be driving it?" And I said, "I will." And then she's like, "And but how do you drive?" So it was her first time encountering a situation like this. So I will get you to the video, and a huge thank you to my son, who was my little cameraman, because it would have been very hard for me to do this on my own. So he did an incredible job. You're going to be able to see uh, how we drove this PT Cruiser. Awesome. The weather was beautiful, so putting the roof down felt incredible, and we've enjoyed every second of it. So here's me driving. So what I do like on this car is that it had a button on it to pop the door open, so that it wouldn't close. The door was really long and heavy though, so I didn't really like that part. And then you see my two pillows that I sit on. I actually brought the leopard one with me to Florida. Once I sit in, I reach out with my foot to close the door. This seat belt, I was able to reach it just fine, but in my car it is a lot closer. It actually, the headrest on the seat had a little loop where you could put the seat belt through it to bring it closer. I take the headrest off. I think it's just one, because I'm so short that my head doesn't stick out from above the seat much. And also I push my back into the back of the seat too much, so then I can't, if I have the headrest on, I can't move my head to look around, and I just don't feel it's safe for me to drive that way. So the keys I always drop on the floor and reach them from there. The button that was on top actually made it a lot easier to move, to change gears. My car has the button on the front, which makes it a little more difficult, but it's fine. And then from there, one more thing, as you can see, I actually have the seat belt sort of under my one leg and on top of the other one. Because I have to move my legs so much, I keep it this way, because then if it's on top of both of my legs, see how far I have to push my leg back. It just it hurts me basically. It just gets into my leg and it's painful, so I just keep it under that right leg, as you can see. And the rest of it is pretty self-explanatory. I will show you one more thing in a second after you see me drive for a little bit. Okay, so this is going to just give you a different view of how I hold the steering wheel and all of that. This steering wheel, because the car is older, it was huge. It just took a lot to make those turns, but it's okay. I managed. However, when I got back home, my car is a lot easier. Now in a second here, you're gonna see me turning the turn signal on. And if you notice right here, I still keep my foot on the steering wheel, so I never completely let go of it. My foot is sort of resting on it. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one. I hope this answered a lot of you guys' questions. And we'll see you again in the next one. Bye.